This is Suzanne Wagner, and I have been on a journey. I've been going to see a friend's wedding, which was awesome and so beautiful and so wonderful and so heartfelt and so sincere and just perfect. It was one of those perfect days. And I love things when they are heartfelt and uncomplicated. And I know that before they were doing the wedding at their house, I'm sure it was just a complete and total zoo, but it went off so beautifully without any problems. And it was so lovely to see everybody. And so, because I'm on my little journey and I'm seeing some friends and I'm going in different places, I've been driving. And as I've been driving, I've been listening to different things on the radio and podcasts and stuff like that. And I just wanted to do a video to all the people out there that really I know, especially if you follow me, it's like I know you recognize the incredibly perilous moment that we are in. And while yes, we could talk about global warming and a lot of other things, I wanted to just talk about, some of the laws that potentially are going to get passed that so negatively impact women's bodies and the bodies of children. And I am horrified. I'm horrified at the fact that there are people that are legislators that are men that are absolutely moving in the direction of controlling women's bodies and women's choices. And I just want to inspire all the women out there to vote. And, honestly, I really don't want to see us go backwards when the rest of the world is going forward. And I want to be in a world where women do have a choice. And I personally have known too many women that have been in those terrible predicaments. I had one friend of mine that she had 6 miscarriages, and it was devastating for her. It was emotionally devastating for her. She blamed herself. She, was trying to figure out what she was doing. And, again, every one of those miscarriages, with the laws that are about to be passed in certain states, would imprison her. At what point is that not okay to everybody out there? That here's a woman already traumatized because she desperately wants a child, and her body is saying no. And a legislator does not have the right to tell her that she has to go full term with that child. And she couldn't have, even if she wanted to. I mean, trust me, it was devastating to her. And out of 6 miscarriages, she managed to have 2 children, and she was just so happy to have those 2. But the process was just incredibly tough. And I know another woman who, she had a child who was in the fetus in the womb and had no brain. And the doctors gave her all the options. We can abort this child. We can do this. This child has no brain. This child is not developing. And she chose to take that child as full term as she could, which, and to deliver it naturally, because she wanted to be able to hold that baby in her arms, even though that baby had no brain. And that choice for her was also more emotionally devastating than you can possibly imagine if you haven't been through something like that. And having watched these women go through these things, and I mean, because of my job and I'm a psychic, I hear so many stories. It's just shocking. And we can't allow this to continue. This is not about saving children. I mean, we've got people not passing gun control laws, and children are being murdered in school. I'm dealing with children who are traumatized and are afraid to go to school because of the exercises that they have to do in case a gunman comes into their school. And that's not normal either. I mean, so how can we not protect children and then be sending mothers that are desperately wanting children to prison for a miscarriage that they can't control? And I believe that people do have a right to choose. Like, you maybe made a terrible mistake and had a terrible one night stand with somebody who was really, you find out, is not stable or sane or cognizant, and they aren't a responsible father, and these women make that choice to not do that. And I have other women that they totally know they're going to give this child for adoption and carry this child to term and come to talk to me, and I'm like, yes, this child, is so, wanting to be born, but is supposed to belong to somebody else, and all the miracles that happen to get that child to the perfect adopted parents. And I believe that we just need to do this in a much more conscious way, but we do need to allow women to have choice, because you can't allow men and legislators and government to control a woman's body. A woman can't control her body when it comes to a miscarriage. And why does government even have a say in that? It's just horrific to me. And then at the same time, we allow more security on a person for a car and having a driver's license, and they have to go through tests to have a driver's license, than we do to let a person have a gun that can kill somebody. And that makes no sense. We legislate cars and vehicles and insurance and all these other things, and yet we don't do gun control. And I'm born and raised in Texas. I have guns. I know how to shoot. I'm responsible with my guns. I'm not anti-gun at all. I'm not anti-gun at all. And I do believe that people should have classes. My father was a hunter. There were a lot of rules around the guns in my household. And you did not pick up a gun, and you did not point it at somebody. There were a lot of rules. And I think we should be teaching those rules, which we are also not doing. But I can't understand, like, you're going to put women in prison, and you really need to get that. Like, those are the laws that are on the books right now, waiting for the Supreme Court to make its decision. And then literally, if you help a trans child, if you're a parent trying to help a trans child figure out what they need to do, you could be put in jail. You basically, if you have an abortion, you have committed murder. And then if you have a miscarriage, you do second-degree murder, and you're going to put all these women in jail? That's insane. That's completely insane. And that is what, like, over 14 states have on the books right now, waiting to have happen. And I want women to scream. I want to yell from the highest rafters, and to force the vote to go in a direction that women get control back of their body. I don't know what we have to do to get that, but I clearly know that there are certain places that you shouldn't be voting, and you definitely shouldn't be voting people in that are basically going to try and put women, mothers that want children, in jail. I mean, that's insane. That's completely insane. And we can't, as a society, survive if we allow that type of thing to happen. And so everyone needs to stand up. They need to be writing their congressmen. They need to be calling their legislators. They need to be voting in a way that makes it crystal clear to our government that this will not be tolerated. Because if you don't, it's only the beginning. That's the key. They're going to go after women's bodies. They're going to go after, why don't they go after men for rape more? Why don't they go out after that? Why don't they put those men in prison for life or for 20 years for causing that to a woman? Again, if you were a woman, and every woman is different, but most women, if they were raped and got pregnant from that rape, would not want to have that rapist's child. That would just be a scary thing to do. And yes, maybe you are brave enough to adopt that child out and give that child an incredible chance. But, that should be the woman's choice. And it's so unfair, because if they start down this road of controlling women's bodies, they can control pretty much everything. If once they say that they can do that, they can control pretty much everything. And they're going to control children, they're going to control parents, they're going to control gay marriage, they're going to control trans children. There are a lot of people that are going to be dying from suicide because they don't have a hope, they don't have a chance. And we just can't, as a society, allow that to continue. So I had to put this out there just because I was so shocked, terrorized, traumatized by what our government is doing. And we have to do something. We have to stop this progression. And they have been building this for the last 50 years. You know, one side of the government has for 50 years been undermining the rights and the rules of women and children, and they have finally succeeded, and we are at that pivotal point. And you know, I'm just grateful that I am not a woman that is fertile at this point, and I am, you know, older through menopause. But I can't imagine, if you are a woman that is not in that category, what you should be feeling right now. And you should be voting, and you should be voting loudly. Thanks.